This is the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, a weekly recap of your 2023 Phillies. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Team Toyota, BCWSA, Fogo de Chão, Independence Blue Cross, and Capital Grille. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
Welcome to another Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live from Warrington's Chickie and Pete's. Our co-host tonight is Tommy Greene.
How you doing, sir?
Yeah, it's rough weekend, to say the least. He was on the disabled list twice.
All right? Big time.
Big time.
Big time disabled list.
And we have a very special guest here. Inner city young man, grew up in Frankfurt in a small, tiny row home. Maybe the only kid that pitched at Connie Mack Stadium as a 16-year-old in an all-star game. Played basketball, high school and college basketball at the Palestra. Coached and pitched at the beautiful Veterans Stadium. It was a wonderful place, to say the least.
Isn't it?
Then he was the pitching coach for Larry Boa when they opened Citizens Bank Park. And as a youngster, he sold programs at the Army-Navy game at Municipal Stadium
JFK.
and JFK. Welcome, Joe Kerrigan, to the Independence Blue Cross
Thanks,
Show.
Billy. Thanks, Tommy.
Good to see you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Well, very interesting. We have the All-Star game tonight, or tomorrow night. We have the Home Run Derby. You getting pumped up for the Home Run Derby, Tommy?
Me? I mean, no, it doesn't. That doesn't bother me that much. But Joe, I mean, you said something before we come on there. You said you got a favorite, that you're picking.
I'd put a few shillings down on Alfonso, the polar bear from the Mets.
Right.
That's I'd have to say that's a pretty good call because he's been there and done it.
It's almost become a bigger event now than the All-Star game itself. The ratings are about the same for tonight and tomorrow's game, but there's some interesting matchups tonight. You got Mookie Betts going against Guerrero.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Hometown kid Rodriguez going against Alfonso tonight in the first round. That should be pretty interesting. And that ballpark, the ball really jumps to left field there. You're going to see you're going to see some balls that have a chance to go out of the stadium there.
Yeah, I mean, all over the years, I mean, you think back of the All-Star game, the importance of the All-Star game. How much has it changed now? I mean, I don't even know how they view it now. It's more of a spectacle now.
Yeah.
It used to mean more.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, it's home team advantage in the playoffs, right? Or
well,
in the World Series?
even before then, it was American League versus National League, and they didn't play each other during the season. So it was a matter of pride which league was better. And the starters, some of those guys played all 9 innings. The Mays and the Mantle and Ernie Banks, they went out there, they finished the game.
Absolutely. You bring up the All-Star game. It has lost its luster. And I blame that on interleague play. I do not like interleague play, Tommy. Joe, do you like it? Tommy, do you like it?
I mean, I know, and Joe hit on it a little bit. It took when you start playing each other like that. I mean, some of the things is we played each other in spring training, as far as American National League. But as far as during the year, we never got to do that. That was some of the things at the end of the year. If you were good enough to get into the postseason, and then we're getting into a whole lot of other things, talking about wild cards and all that stuff. You had to win to get in, to deserve the right, to earn the right to pay the American League club at the end of the year. It was that type of thing. You had to earn that fight. But I think it's a good thing for the fans.
Exactly.
For the fans to see the rivalry, the cross towns, the Chicagos, the New Yorks, the LAs, those type of things that that have that, and be it us and Philly, us and the Mets. That's sort of a three-way right there. So.
Well, you get a chance if you're a Phillies fan to see Aaron Judge come to town and the Yankees, or Ohtani and Trout.
Oh.
Which is, that's a special event. I guarantee you the Phillies are sold out of a 3-game series in August already.
Oh yeah.
For Ohtani.
Just as they were for
the
and to see Trout again,
and just as they were for the Yankee series. So in that vein, I think it's really good for the fans to see those people in person, to see how good they are, because not too many people watch Ohtani unless you're going to stay up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, on the East Coast and watching him play half his home games.
But your question, does it take something away from the way we grew up playing it? Yeah. It does take something away from it.
See, I always say
but
to
it
people,
comes down to this, too.
absolutely, money, money, money. I always say if I want to see the Yankees, I get on a train and go to Yankee Stadium. If I'm a National Leaguer. If I want to see the Ohtani come, I'm 60 miles from Baltimore. I can get down there. I mean, I know it's about money. That's all about money. That's the problem.
And that's what you're talking about with the, not the interleague, but the playoff games, the getting in with the the extra rounds of playoffs, the wild cards and stuff like that. It comes down, how much money does it generate? And look at last year. How about us getting in? As far as the Phillies are concerned, how did we get in? That's just. Anybody can be beaten in the big leagues, no matter who they are. If the team gets hot before at the right time, they got a couple guys pitching the ball well, they can shut you down. It don't matter what team.
Phillies are a perfect example of that last year.
No matter what team it is,
3-game series, anything can happen.
Right. I just have a tough time. Maybe I'm an old school guy, but I remember the best from the National League played the best from the American League. I enjoyed that because, again, every sport has done it. They've watered it down. And if you get hot, like Tommy said, at the right time, anything can happen.
Yeah. But still, we hit on it and said it. It's about these people in here.
Right.
Listen to it. It's about the fans. Not that we're not fans too, but it's about the fans.
Yeah.
And that's bottom line. That's what it's about. And that's why we can go into the rule changes and stuff like that. It's really about the fans.
Yeah.
It's about that. So,
Joe and Tommy, I'm looking at pitching today, and both you guys were pitchers. Both you guys had arm problems. Mm-hmm. I looked at the Tampa Bay Rays. To this point, they have used 33 pitchers. The 1963 Yankees used 13 pitchers the entire year. That's a number that's unbelievable.
Yeah. And y'all were talking about it before, but my question to Joe, he probably knows a little bit more about it than me. What are the rules about bringing a guy up and down options and the way they do things now? And because you were hitting on how they bring people up and stuff like that, because they're going to use everything to their advantage they possibly can, to be able to do what they're doing, and they're doing a good job at it. So
excellent job. Tampa Bay has the second best ERA in the American League. They get the second best record in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So they must know what they're doing. Plus, probably a lot of their young, good pitchers have inning restrictions, and that's the way they shuttle them back and forth. Maybe shut them down for 10 days here and there. Shuttle somebody up from the minor leagues.
They're not pitching every 4 days like a lot of times we did in the minor leagues.
Well, they're having great success with it. So how can you argue it? And you're allowed to bring up guys 4 and 5 times a year now.
Yeah, that was my question to you.
Yeah.
With the rule, I think the rule changes is allowing them to do that.
Yeah.
Are we developing pitchers? That's the thing. Long term, we won't see a pitcher last, maybe like Scherzer and Verlander.
Yeah.
This next generation will not last that long. It's the philosophy is throw as hard as you can for as long as you can. That's not teaching the art of pitching. You guys had to learn the art of pitching.
Caveman pitching, rock throwers.
Right.
There's a bunch of them in the game today.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Just grip it and rip it. You throw it 100. You get anywhere near the strike zone, it's awful hard to hit, especially up in the zone. And that's the way guys get to the big leagues the fastest today. Hey, if you can light up that radar gun, with 3 digits, you're going to have a pretty good chance being in the big leagues quick.
And that's the way I learned. First, because it was easy for me to pitch up, and it was easier for me to pitch up, and so my ball wanted to be up there. I threw good, but the art of pitching, what made me when I was at my best, is to be able to pitch at the top of that zone and start to last and pitch 7, 8, 9 innings. I had to be down early in the zone. I had to change those eye levels and do that thing. So when I went up here, a lot of times they didn't have a chance to catch up with it.
Yeah.
So and that's what they do. But they live up. A lot of them live up at the top of the zone. Try to live there all the time. And I think that's what I see is a big difference in the start pitching, because and it's about the art of pitching. You got to be able to. I think one of the best pitches in baseball ever invented was a down and away fastball, to be able to crown it to a right-handed guy and to a left-handed guy. If you can command that, there's nothing better.
I notice a lot of players today are very, very liberal as far as leaning out over the plate. They got all the armament on, and they're not afraid. Now, if you move them off the plate, they're glaring at you. They're staring you down. When you guys pitched, that didn't happen.
No, and the fact today, the guys don't have command to pitch inside the way they did in our generation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a real good point.
You know,
because they are raring back and just throwing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. Now, you got some guys that know how to pitch inside. You know,
you know, I mean, it used to be in our day, hey, move their feet. Guy's too comfortable. Let's move his feet. Well, you can throw one right at his ribs, and he would get out of the way. He moved his feet. You served the purpose. Nowadays, guy tries to throw one, it might end up hitting the guy in the head.
Yeah, and it's not. People ask me all the time. You know, it's not that we're perfect. A lot of times, I mean, as a pitcher, when you learn, you're learning how to pitch inside. You're not placing it in there because you start trying to. You're worrying about hitting it.
Aim it.
You're doing, and you end up leaving it on the dish. And what happens there? You're rubbing up and you know, you're hanging your head. You know, you start giving up 2- and 3-run homers because you're trying to go inside. And that's the key word. You're not trying. You got to go inside. He said the word, move their feet.
Yeah.
And make them move. I started looking at it. I said, when I got inside, where's my miss going to be? It's going to be off the plate in. And I looked, belt buckle, somewhere in that range right there. So it's not that. And every now and then a ball got up and in. It got, I mean, because I just didn't try to place it. I threw it through there. Not that I was trying just to rear back and throw it hard as I could. But my mentality was I'm throwing it through that doorway in there. You know, there's a purpose to it. You know, so that's the way I viewed it.
I had Pedro for 9 years.
God Almighty! How about him? That was one of the questions I was going to ask you.
He was one of the best, maybe in the last 30, 40 years about pitching inside, and he came inside. The hitters weren't the same after that fastball up in it. They just were
His
not
ball was
comfortable.
So live,
nervous, very nervous.
Oh my God! Because Pedro gave you the idea that he didn't give a damn if he hit you.
Yeah,
he didn't really care.
And that's the way you.
And the hitters felt that. They sensed that. Hey, this guy's nuts. He's liable to take my head off. And once you put that little doubt in their mind, you got him.
You want them
you
thinking.
won the battle.
Do we have a pitcher like that today in baseball?
No, not really.
No,
not really.
Yeah.
No, none that I can think of. You know.
And I think do you think it changed a little bit with Pedro when he went over to the American League and he went swinging the bat?
Yeah, a lot. It changed a lot. But you know what? He didn't care. He knew he was going to get hit in the National League. He didn't care. You know, he learned how to turn his back and get out of the way and protect his arm.
Yeah.
You know, or his fingers or his hands. He learned how to do that.
Yeah, because he was a right-handed batter, right?
But no, he didn't care. He didn't care.
Which, I mean, and I looked at, I mean, the way I pitched, it was the same. It was the same way. You know, it was just like I had people come and ask me. He says, "We just didn't quite know, you know, where you want to go. When you come in, it was like." And then you'd locate one down the way with that slider. You throw that fastball. He said, we just never felt a big league hitter coming up and telling you, we just didn't feel that comfortable. Because it's like the old word was effectively wild, to say to speak. And then it's not that you were effectively wild. I mean, like you were throwing all over the place. You know, not that I walked a ton of guys.
Yeah.
It was like it was a purpose a lot of times when I did come up here, and I didn't care if it got you or not. That's your fault if you got hit, if you were leaning, you know. So
I seen this happened twice when Pedro was pitching, and it's on YouTube. And
that's why you were a great pitching coach.
So when
with Pedro, right?
I've seen right-handed hitters take full swing, ball hit him right in the chest, right in the chest against Pedro. The damnedest thing you ever seen. They had to start so soon because, you know, when he was on top of his game, he was 96, 97, kind of reach
with late movement too.
Yeah, and reached 98. So some of these guys cheated, and they started so quick. I mean, they would swing, and the ball would hit them right in the belly or the chest. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
Because his ball rushed.
Well, it just ran. It like a heat-seeking missile that came in on right-handers.
Oh, and what made him so incredibly effective was this one.
The Bugs Bunny. Change-up.
Yeah, the Bugs Bunny. That was unbelievable. And the command of it.
Yeah.
You know, that was ridiculous.
Who was a couple other pitchers that you liked working with? I mean, Pedro was probably a treat to work with. A couple other guys that you really.
Well, yeah, I mean, Saberhagen was unbelievable. I had David Cohn in Boston his last year.
Coney?
Coney was unbelievable. I mean,
he was a piece of work too.
You know, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of really good pitchers.
Yeah.
And you know,
We had the best job, I mean, in the big leagues, being a pitcher.
Yeah.
You pitch one day, and the other 4 days you're watching the best in the business do what they do.
Unless you're a reliever and Joe Torre runs you out there about 9 out of 10 games, you know.
That was Joe Torre was your manager?
Well, I was a coach in the Yankees.
Okay.
For the Yankees with him. And he wasn't afraid to run you out there, you know, 5 days a week or 6 days a week.
Well, that's the way it was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's the way the game was played.
Yeah.
How about Mike Marshall? 106 appearances one year.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
106 appearances.
They threw 150 innings, 160 innings as a closer.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, Raleigh
That's
Fingers the same way.
Yeah.
They pitched 2 and 3 innings.
Well,
and
Tug McGraw, Bruce Sutter, the guys come in for his 7th inning for the save.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was 2.
But the game has evolved.
Two, 3 inning saves all the
know,
time.
like I tell Billy all the time, okay.
Oh, it's evolved. I mean, it's the way it's changed.
Who plays every down in football anymore?
Not many people.
Not many offensive or defensive.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know, they're lucky. The defensive linemen are lucky to play half the snaps.
That's right.
They rotate them in and out now. So all the games. How about the minute restrictions in the NBA?
Oh.
Yeah, load management.
Load management in the NBA. I mean, it's all sports have evolved that way.
All right, we got to take a quick break on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live here in Chickies and Pete's in Warrington. Come on up. There's a big crowd gathering here, but they have great food. We'll have a great time, and we'll be right back on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Tommy Greene, the special co-host, special guest Joe Kerrigan. I'm Bill Werndl, pinch hitting for Dan Baker. We'll be back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComp, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chickie and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
SEPTA offers a variety of career opportunities. Our core business is transit, and with 5 modes of service, we rely on and need operators, engineers, and conductors. But it takes a host of other specialties, including mechanics, electricians, plumbers, masons, painters, carpenters, welders, and more to keep the system moving. As an employee, you will earn competitive compensation and great benefits, including medical, dental, prescription, and a pension. Visit jobs.septa.org to apply today. That's jobs.septa.org.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
We are back on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live here at Chickies and Pete's in Warrington. I'm pinch hitting for Dan Baker. I'm Bill Werndl. Our special co-host is Tommy Greene, Tita Greene, and of course, longtime pitching coach, former Major League player, Temple great athlete, 2-sport athlete at Temple, baseball and basketball, Joe Kerrigan.
He'd be playing some golf, too.
Yeah. Not as good as you.
No. I just want to play. Yeah. After the weekend I've had, man, I just want to play. I just want to get back there and be able to swing it. Yeah.
Little promotional consideration. Joe, you got the gift certificate, Fogo de Chão, Ventrescas, and Eddie V's. So we appreciate their support.
Thank you.
All right. So, Tommy, and we're talking about pitchers.
Yeah.
Because you guys are the fabric of baseball, pitchers.
Well, I mean, you say that, and that just leads me into the thing you're talking about, the fabric. I was taught, and probably Joe was the same way, the buck starts with us, and basically we make it roll. And I think I heard somebody ask in show what they think Nola's problem is. I think, the way I was taught, I had control of the game. It was my ball, and you couldn't play unless I threw it. Type mentality. I had control of it. So when things start going awry out there, I don't know what you taught some of your guys, especially your young guys you dealt with in the minor leagues and stuff. And I know the way I was taught coming up is say things start getting wacky out there and kind of getting out of hand a little bit. You have the control to say, wait a minute. You take a
timeout.
You take a step off the back of the mound, collect your thoughts, take a deep breath. Hey, reinforce the positive things of what's going on. What you do well, you reinforce it. Then you get back on the mound, you got a better chance to replicate what you're wanting to do. And now I think there's pressure, and Nola's he's got more moving parts, and it takes him it's just his manner, just the way he's built, the way he does things. It takes him a little bit longer. I mean, that was just the way I dealt with things, and I think that's where I got an issue with the clock a little bit. I think it might be a little short. Why not make it 20 seconds? Give them a little bit more. It's doing its job. I get why they're doing it, and it's changing the thing. It's good for the fans and stuff. But I still think I don't want that to cost somebody a ball game and a win and a chance possibly getting in a postseason thing because of that, because of a clock, and an umpire's judgment.
I think Marcus Hayes in the Daily News this morning in his article was right on with regard to Nola. He wasn't mentally conditioned or physically conditioned and ready for the 15-second clock. It snuck up on him, even though, he didn't pitch his usual innings in spring training. So I think it was a little bit of a shock to his system, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
The thing that you hit on the 15-second clock with nobody on, I was curious to see what it's going to be like in July and August when it gets a hot 100 degrees out there, and that your pitcher's got to throw a pitch every 15 seconds with nobody on, cover first base, maybe back up a base, in 100-degree heat. That's going to suck the life out of your starting pitchers.
Yes, it does.
So you better be in some pretty good cardiovascular shape when you're pitching these days.
And that's that's something I never really thought of, as far as that's concerned, because there's times you need extra time. I mean, it's just extra. Mm-hmm. You need it, and you want your pitcher to be ready and to be able to take that extra. So he's doing, because it begins in pitching, and to me it ends with it. It's going to be pitching and defense, and you got to have it. If you're not going to win. You're not going to. You can have all the offense in the world, but if you're letting in more than you're driving in, you're losing.
You guys brought up a very interesting point. Spring training. How many innings would you pitch in spring training, Joe? You were a reliever. How many innings did you pitch in spring training, Tommy, when you were a starter?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah.
Your starters used to pitch 6 games in spring training.
Yeah.
You start out with 30 pitches, and then you increase it by 15 pitches every start. And by your 6th start, you're probably up to 90, 95 pitches. You're ready to go.
Well, I mean, I know there was a couple times. I mean, most of the time, I threw at least over 100 pitches, at least twice before I left spring training
to get you ready. Nowadays, they don't do that. They just back you off. You're lucky. You're lucky. The most you'll throw in spring training is 75 pitches. It used to be you used to get a guy maybe anywhere from 28 to 35 innings.
Yeah.
No, that's probably half.
Yeah, I was saying 30-something.
Because what they do now, they have so many different rules in spring training. You throw too many pitches in the inning, they'll roll over the inning. They'll call the inning over. You're allowed to sit down in the dugout and come back. Yeah, even though you didn't get 3 outs. They do that in spring training now all the time. Or a lot of the starting pitchers will go 2 innings, and they'll say, that's enough. I'm going to get down the bullpen and simulate 2 or 3 more innings. That way I can control the environment better.
Do you like that?
I don't necessarily like it. I do believe in the rollover innings. They've been using that in the instructional league for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Since I was pitching in the, you throw more than 30 pitches in an inning. That's it. Hey, roll it over.
Yeah.
Because you're protecting the kid.
You're protecting the kid.
And that, they finally brought that to the big league level. Now the last 2 or 3 years they're doing it.
Now,
I agree with it.
I mean, especially in spring training, something like that, because that's when you're. Topper said what he worries about the most was the first week of games or the first week of spring training, first week of games, and there's something else. The first week of the season or something like that. That's when he worries about those guys.
You brought up a good point, Painter. As soon as I read that in the Daily News, Painter's first BP on the backfield, he was facing Schwarber. Schwarber took him deep, but he reached 99 on the gun.
They can shove that
thinking
gun.
Myself. 99, you're letting the kid throw 99 miles an hour on his first BP in spring training? I say, son, I don't want that gun to go above 93, 94 degrees, 94 miles an hour. I want you to work on your mechanics, throwing strikes. That's what I want you to do.
Isn't it?
Command first, power second. That's what it's all about. As soon as I read that, and 3-4 days later, that was it. He was done.
People ask me all the time when I got traded over from Atlanta to Philly. He says, what are the Braves doing that we're not? Or other people not? I said, well, we throw a lot.
Yeah.
We throw a lot, but the key to and here's the words, and Leo and Johnny Sane used it. Leo learned from Johnny Sane the theory was like feel and touch.
Touch and feel. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah.
Feel and touch. And I learned it the hard way with Leo. My first game I pitched in A-ball when he had me in my first year. I pitch a game, and then 2 days later I'm throwing on the side. He sends me out there to get ready. I'm starting to throw my side session. He's talking to a reporter, and my arm's feeling good, and I'm popping the mitt. And here he comes walking right in between me and the catcher, and he comes up there and looks up at me like that. He said, if I hear that mitt pop again, you're off the mound. We're not down here to tear you down. We're down here to build you up. Prepare yourself to do it again tomorrow. And so the theory with the Braves was the more time you spend off the mound,
better location,
the better location,
better feel you have.
And better feel, and the more you repeat your mechanics. But you got to be. It's called feel and touch. You're not down here to tear you down, make you sore again, or whatever, and tearing you down. We're down here to build you up. You spend your 5 to 8 minutes. Stay out of the middle of the plate. We never sit down the middle.
Yeah.
We always. If you feel like spending a couple, you do. But you get off, do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
That type of thing. But we had a ball in our hand.
Yeah.
We were doing things. So.
The other question I had, you mentioned Painter. They wanted to teach him another pitch at 19.
Cutter.
Fastball, curveball, changeup. That's all he needs early on in his career.
Well, that's what he come in with.
Right. Why do they have to teach him another pitch? I mean, I don't understand.
I read, this is what we reported in the paper, that he needed another pitch for left-handers to get on the left-handers. But I agree with you. At 19, 20 years old, I just don't think 4 pitches are going to work right now. Let's try to master 2 and hopefully 3.
Yeah, why can't a fastball get in on a left-hander?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what I look at.
Yeah.
I mean, then you learn. And another thing you look at it too. How big's the kid? 6'7"?
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
How old is he?
19.
Yeah.
His growth plates are that far apart.
Right.
He's more susceptible for injuries like that. If you ask me, young kids are.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just shocking that they let him throw 99 miles an hour in his first BP session.
I blame that
first
on
major league camp.
I blame that on. I just blame that on the theory of what they're trying to teach now, is the high spin, high effort, high. They're not teaching.
Common sense.
Well, you said it. Yeah, but not how to pitch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the purpose. What is the purpose of BP? It's for you to get your work in, let the hitter see some pitches. You're telling the hitter what's coming. I know that's what we did back in the day.
Get to know your body.
Yeah, and the hitter let you know. I mean, if you're throwing a pitch and it's got a little bit of life on, you're nice and smooth, and he's seeing it. You're giving a fastball away to hit, and he's still having trouble hitting it. That shows you're not giving max effort. You're probably 70, 80% probably.
Yeah.
I would think that.
Yeah.
Your ball still got life and stuff, and the hitter's going to tell you, hey, that's pretty good. You're looking good, man. But the thing is control. That's what we looked at. Is then I got lucky and faced guys, like Lenny Dykstra and all those guys. They were wanting as tall as this table, and Wally Backman. They made you throw strikes down in the zone they helped you prepare for the season, and that's what that does at the beginning of spring training helps you prepare for those games you're getting in early.
All right, we got to take a quick break right now here on the Independence Blue Cross, live from Chicky and Pete's in Warrington. All right, next week's show will be in Drexel Hill with Dan Baker will be back, Gary Matthews, a special co-host, and their special guest will be Larry Christensen. LC will be there. Now, we got to thank two guys who really do a great job on this show. We're not done, but Chris Ermer, the outstanding executive producer at WBCB.
We couldn't do it without him.
Absolutely. And Stephen Lawler back at the station on the controls. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeCompte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
There really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes a great choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With our MVP pricing guarantee, teammate rewards program, and streamlined customer experience, our award-winning operation ensures that you can trust our process. A home team advantage is nothing without the community. Our employees are part of our family, part of your town, and we're all part of the team. We're always here for you at one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, and Glen Mills, or at teamtoyota.net.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
We are back on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live here from Chicky and Pete's in Warrington. And our special guest today is Joe Kerrigan, our special co-host, a guy that's really shown me a lot. He was in the hospital on Friday, he was in the hospital Sunday, and he comes off the bench firing, and that's Tommy Greene.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, each week during the Phillies season, we'll name a different Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week.
Yeah.
This week's Live Fearless Player of the Week is one Bryson Stott. You have some numbers on Bryson Stott.
Yes, I do, and he's pretty impressive. I mean, what he's done. I mean, not just this week, just in general, his body of work he's done this first half. You know, he's right there up with Castellanos to being the MVP of the first half, and well-deserved, too, because he's just been so consistent for them, and that's what you're looking from your ball players, just right. Consistency. But the numbers he's had this week with 6 ball games he's played in the 7 days was 22 at-bats, 4 runs scored, 9 hits, 2 doubles. He had 3 ribbies, and just a couple strikeouts and a couple stolen bases, and he hit 409 for the week.
Wow!
So he was on the base for the guys to do some things, you know.
Absolutely. Start living fearless today by going to www.ibx.com. Well, we're back to the Bulls session with Tommy Greene and our special guest Joe Kerrigan. Another question I have for you guys is about Kyle Schwarber. I've seen a lot of left fielders in my day, He may be the worst left fielder I've ever seen.
Not a left fielder.
He is a DH only. And
I think he's out of position. He was a catcher coming in,
yeah,
right?
he's not a catcher either. All right, but so they've got to make a move when Harper comes back. He'll be the DH. But can you live with 185 batting average, with 22 home runs and 49 RBIs? I mean, and strikeouts. He's going to hit 200 strikeouts again this year.
What do you think? What do you think, Joe? I mean, I know my theory about it, but
that wasn't the original plan for him to play in the field. Harper getting hurt kind of messed everything up with regard to their DH. Mm-hmm. But by all defensive metrics, he is the worst player in all of baseball. I think he's a minus 23 or 24 runs this year. Mm-hmm. I think the nearest closest guy is like 16, and he's an infielder. So, yeah, he does hurt him. He hurts him defensively. He's hurting him batting average wise. I just don't understand why 250 at bats, 300 at bats, and you're still hitting under 200, and I don't see any adjustments made.
Yeah.
Maybe get close to the plate, maybe get off the plate, maybe cut down on the swing a little bit with 2 strikes. It's like a windshield wiper swing. It's the same swing every pitch, every count, right-handed, left-handed.
Is that the tendency these days, the way the game is now?
Yeah. Swing hard and keep you hit it.
Yeah.
And that looks like to me, what he is. He's given up on situational hitting, doesn't hit the count very well. You have a different swing 2-0 than you do 0-2, I would think, but not with him.
No, I mean, and here's my theory on him. He better hit a bunch more home runs to make that count.
Right.
To make that 180.
Sure.
When he's got to hit 45. Yeah.
But if Harper,
at least,
I think this plays on him too, having to play the field every day.
Yeah.
I think he worries about his defense, and I think that wears him down a little bit mentally.
Well, I mean, look at last year. Castellanos coming into a new situation.
Yeah.
Was he prepared to deal with what Philly brings to the table?
Yep.
And plus you never know the person, the way they accept things. Now, I think he got a little grasp on it a little bit and knew what to expect, and he's a little more comfortable. And when you get comfortable, you tend to play a little better. Your athleticism comes back a little bit.
Hopefully Harper, after the All-Star break, within a week or two, will be able to play first base.
That would be great.
And, then you have your natural order. Then you could put a defensive player out there, and you could DH Schwarber. And I think that'll help the Phillies a lot. I mean, they got a lot of things going good for them, I think, the second half. Number one is their schedule. Mm-hmm. They only play 7 road games in the month of August. And most of those are against sub-500 teams. In fact, the rest of the way, I believe the winning percentage is like 475.
Yes.
The teams they play the rest of the way. So I think they got a lot of good things going for them. I mean, they got a couple tough teams right out of the gate after the All-Star game, but they get through that spell, and they got to get Wheeler and Nola pitching again. I mean, they got to get them consistent again. Not necessarily like the strikeout 12 with a shutout, but just give me a good 6 innings every time out and keep us in the ball game. Because they're not going to pitch like they did last year, I don't think. They just caught fire.
I'll tell you what, that was unbelievable
last year.
They
just caught fire.
That was, what they did. And people don't – and see, that's the thing. The fans, see, they expect you to do that all the time. You got your special breed of guy, There's like you Pedro and them, and that went for some years. They put some years together. Yeah. But still, you look back in the day, you had your best of all time. They'd have just some years where they didn't do as well as and then they kick back up again, that type of thing. But you just don't give up on a guy and say get rid of him, because the talent's there. That's what I think about Nola. Nola's a pitcher. He's not a thrower.
Yeah.
He
pitches.
He pitches.
He's got to.
Yeah, he's got to. So I like that guy. He's one of those guys, and he's always been an innings guy. You got to have those type of guys, or your bullpen's going to die, at some point. And that's one of the areas I was going to ask you about. You think, now that Alvarado's out, do you think they're going to be looking to do something? We don't know the severity of his injury yet.
Well, they say it's in the forearm now, and hopefully, he's had this before, and he's come back after, a 10
month or whatever. It's still.
Yeah, we'll see. I think
they got to get solid to help there because they've lost Sir Anthony and him.
Yeah.
That type thing.
Yeah.
So.
But everybody's going to be looking for relievers.
Everybody's
you got a lot more teams involved now in the race because of the wild card situation.
Exactly.
So, those guys are going to become pretty valuable. Those teams on the sub-500 teams are out of it with pretty good arms, pretty relievers. You have to pay the price. They do a pretty good job. Dombrowski does a really good job of managing his roster. He knows what to look for. He knows who can help him.
He's been around a long time.
Yeah, he has. So he's got a pretty good idea about this team. But you know what? They could go on another run, like I said, because of their scheduling, and they're gonna ride on Wheeler and Nola. I don't care about Schwarber. I don't care about the lineup. If those guys don't pitch well, I don't think they have much of a chance.
Now, what about Taiwan Walker?
Yeah, I was just getting ready with those guys.
He's pitched very well the last month, 6 weeks.
Which is the thing, you look at your staff, and I was always under firm belief when you're winning, to win, to get in, to win, you have to have 3 of your 5, going pretty good. Yeah. You giving you a chance to go, pretty good. And you're going to have a couple guys it's not going to be pitching up, well, but that's when the other guys has got to tick. And you got to ham and, as we call it, ham and egg.
Yeah.
Because if everybody's pitching well all the time, the game's easy. You're hitting on all cylinders. It's a lot easier, But, that was my big thing with those guys. And do you think they've found their 5th starter?
Yep.
With Sanchez?
For now,
something?
Yeah, for now.
I think he
goes out there, keep me in the game. Just give me 4 or 5 innings, and I'm good.
Yeah.
If Nolan and Wheeler do their job, the bullpen should be rested before you pitch.
Yeah.
What do you like about Sanchez?
Well, that he's grown up a little bit. Now, his MO was in the minor leagues, and when he first came up, he didn't have the ability to command the ball or throw strikes. Now you can see that he's got a lot more confidence, and he's a 3-pitch pitcher.
Yeah,
out there.
And he changes speed.
You can see him. Well. It's like he grew up right in front of your eyes the last year and a half.
And he said it. The maturity side.
True.
When he gets the ball.
Yeah.
That was the difference in somebody like me. Stop worrying about pleasing everybody and go out there and play with a little vinegar in your system a little bit, and with some controlled aggression, I guess was the word. You play with that, and you got to learn how to use it, And I think he got a little bit. He got a little bit, with that fire under him a little bit, and he's pitching with that.
And don't kill your bullpen. Yeah. As the 5th starter, don't kill your bullpen. Don't make it an 8-inning bullpen game or a 7-inning bullpen game.
Now, Joe, you had a lot of pitchers over the years. Was there a couple of guys that you thought, were good back of the end rotation you saw develop before your own eyes?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of guys.
Jeff Facero. We had a guy named Gil Herrera. I didn't think those
Facero,
Mark
man,
Gardner.
how about him?
Mark Gardner, I didn't think he was a major league pitcher. He ended up pitching 16, 17 years in the big leagues.
He could pitch, man.
He was, he was
like Mark Welk. I come up pitching against him.
He was like a 6th starter at one point,
Really?
Yeah.
And then he turned into an ace for about 8 or 10 years at the end of his career. You just don't know about pitchers. Some guys.
The maturation process, the maturity of guys.
It's amazing. At 28, they'll bump around from team to team, and at 28 years old, they'll find it. The light will go on, or maybe they added a pitch, or maybe they did a little tweak to their delivery. It's amazing.
Is that why you enjoy coaching? Is to see the light go on?
Oh yeah.
I know that's me with kids. When I was coaching Legion ball or something, or in independent ball, you saying something and somebody looks at you like it makes sense finally, or you're showing them and they're feeling what you're trying to get across to them.
You got to be careful how you talk about pitchers and players. I remember being in a meeting my 1st or 2nd year in the big leagues, and Galen Cisco was our pitching coach in Montreal.
Former Ohio State
Bill
running
Verdon
back.
was our manager, and Bill Verdon would not use Jeff Reardon as a closer. Didn't think he had the right mentality. And I remember in a meeting, Galen Cisco says, you'll never win a World Series with Jeff Reardon as your closer. 3 years later, pitching for Minnesota, wins the World Series as their closer.
Amen.
You never know when the light goes on.
All right, pitchers
that's such good when that happens. I love that.
It's amazing.
Do pitchers have a different mentality than the everyday player?
Oh, it's amazing. I didn't really fully realize it until I became manager for a couple months up in Boston. Because now I got to hang out with the position players, and they are, man.
How was that?
they were speaking a different language. They were totally foreign to me.
You should have tried.
I'm hanging around pitchers all my life.
You should have tried our clubhouse.
Oh yeah.
You'd been in.
It was like night and day. They're like aliens. It's incredible.
I think we were aliens.
They're a little different breed. Pitchers are. They really are.
All right, we got to take a quick break here on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live from Chicky and Pete's in Warrington. Now, remember, next week, Dan Baker will be in Drexel Hill for the Bull Session, along with Gary Matthews, his special co-host, and Larry Christensen will be his special guest. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. It's all new and it's all for you. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open. It's enclosed, heated, and perfect for the ultimate in-game experience or live music when the best local bands take the stage. Like LeComte, Fat Mez, or Jameson. Check our website for the band schedule. The heated deck at Chicky and Pete's on the Boulevard is now open every Thursday through Sunday. Chickies and Pete's.
I'm always striving to live my healthiest life, so I need a health plan that has my back. With Independence Blue Cross, I get access to the largest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free virtual doctor visits 24/7. Plus, with premiums as low as $0 per month, I can stay on top of my health and keep my budget in check. Independence has given me coverage I can count on, and they'll do the same for you. Explore your coverage options and enroll today at ibx.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
There really is nothing like a home team advantage. That's why Team Toyota makes a great choice for your next vehicle purchase or service. With our MVP pricing guarantee, teammate rewards program, and streamlined customer experience, our award-winning operation ensures that you can trust our process. A home team advantage is nothing without the community. Our employees are part of our family, part of your town, and we're all part of the team. We're always here for you at one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, and Glen Mills, or at teamtoyota.net.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker and Tommy Greene.
We are back on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session live here from Chicky and Pete's in Warrington. I'm Bill Werndl, pinch hitting for Dan Baker. We'll be back next week. And our special co-host is Tommy Greene, and our special guest is Joe Kerrigan. Tommy, you have some interesting stats you compiled on this Phillies team at the break.
Well, I mean, I kind of look. I mean, it's not that I compile. I go on and look, and how the team's done. What have they done? Where did they sit after the first half? I mean, this first half, the All-Star break a little bit. When you start looking, at the hitters and stuff, what they, the Phillies of the past, the batters tended to walk more, I think. And this year they're 25th in baseball in walks through the first half. Now that can change, and I mean that's working at bats. I think a guy that used to do it real well for them has not been in their lineup the whole first half was Hoskins. Hoskins was one of those guys that did that. And they're 10th in baseball in Ks.
Wow.
They've struck out. They're in the top half of having the most Ks. For a top third. In baseball. They're middle of the road in runs scored, and they're actually are hitting for a decent average. They're 8th in baseball in hits. As far as average is concerned. So what does that tell you a little bit? Sometimes they're not hitting the timely hit that scores the runs that that pushes off sometimes. Especially early in the season when they were scuffling, they couldn't get the big hit with runners in scoring position.
That's a key stat. The runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
The Phillies have really struggled with that, Tommy and Joe. Why is that a mental thing with this club right now?
Situational hitting a lot of it, I think. I mean,
early swinging, early in the count swinging at a lot of first pitches that are out of the zone. Pitchers know this. They expand the zone on them right away from Jump Street from the first pitch. Schwarber, Turner.
Who you think the best hitter is in their lineup of handling, of hitting the situation?
Oh, Stott, without a doubt.
Amen.
Young guy.
And the young guy with the best approach.
It is amazing how you can change your mechanics from one year to the next like he did. No more leg kick, doesn't have a stride, doesn't wrap the bat around his head anymore, and he's using the whole field. How many hits has he had in shortstop, third base hole, or down the third baseline? Especially with two strike. He leads the world with two strike hits. He's amazing.
He's a pitcher's He's a pitcher's nightmare.
Yeah.
Pitchers hate guys like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind the big guys are coming out there hacking all the time. You know, you just have to know where to be careful at with them. Those guys. But they're hacking. The Stott kills you.
He has to be the leadoff hitter. I don't care.
Eventually, I think so. Yeah.
Because you got to drop Schwarber down in the lineup.
He gives you quality ABs.
Right.
And he's not afraid to hit with two strikes.
Right. Yeah.
Stott is. Yeah.
But you don't know if that approach is going to be the same when he leads off.
True.
You just don't know that. Yeah. So he's comfortable. He's hitting over 300 where he is right now.
I think you leave him there right now.
Yeah, you leave him there right now,
What about Bohm? He has really come into his own as another guy that uses the entire field.
His approach, I love it. I love his approach like that.
Two-strike approach. Cut down on your swing. Same as Stott.
And his thing, do I think because he's such a big guy. People don't realize how big he is.
Yeah.
How tall he is and long he is. Yeah. I think the more how old is he now? The more he matures, the more physically.
25.
He's coming into that age where he's going to start packing it. I think a little bit, and then you're going to start to see. I think because he does hit the ball the way he does the all fields, he's going to start driving balls out of the ballpark the other way too.
Figure it all out. Yep.
It's very difficult for a young player like Bohm to go from third to first. Because, he worked on his skills at third base. Now they moved to first base. That's got to be a mind-boggling experience for a young player, doesn't it, Tommy?
Well, it's all about being comfortable. He was getting comfortable. He finally got, I think, more comfortable at third base. The game is a game of failure. You're going to make mistakes. You got to be willing to know that and push on from it. Now, I think, first base is a premium. It keeps you involved on every pitch. Because everybody's coming to you a little bit. He doesn't have to throw as much.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing because he kind of goes through this ballet dance at third sometimes of throwing the ball to first base, because he's had to work on it. It's what made him more consistent, a little bit. But it's got to come more instinctively, and it's coming, But I think he feels comfortable with that because he picks it at third. He handles the ground ball and stuff there pretty good. So at first base, he feels comfortable with that. But now he doesn't have to worry about throwing.
Used to be the worst defensive third baseman in baseball last year.
Yeah.
Now he's probably an average third baseman.
Yes.
He's made himself into an average first baseman.
Yeah.
Do you worry when people talk about he has to hit 25 to 30 home runs if he's playing third base? I think that's ridiculous to put a burden like that on him. As long as
how many runs he's driven in? He
close
leads
to
the
60.
team.
Yeah, exactly.
People can go.
He's going to end up driving 80-plus runs in, 80 RBIs in.
Maybe 100.
That's not bad for what?
No.
Third-year guy, third-year player?
That's
not too bad.
People, the expectations of, that's why they're where they at and we're where we're at.
Right.
We're the ball player, they're whatever they are. They expect, whatever. You can expect all you want, but the reality of things, the individual – that's doing it. It sometimes is a process you have to go through, and the maturity aspect of it. And he's getting it. He's doing it. He's succeeding in the big leagues. He's not failing.
Yeah.
He's
getting
succeeding.
Better.
He's getting
he's
better.
Getting better month to month, year to year. He's getting better.
All right, the trade deadline is fast approaching. End of the month. What is the most important thing that Dave Dombrowski has to do at the trade deadline or before? What do you think? They have to get another reliever,
pitching,
a starter,
pitching.
If you can get a pitching,
or an outfielder.
Pitching. Mm-hmm.
Now
they got late in games they got defense there to help them.
Yeah.
That they can put in there to shore up the defense. But it all depends on what presents itself. But the priority about things, and Joe's right on the thing. If you can get pitching without it, killing you,
Yeah,
you get it,
What you think you need today might be entirely different at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Somebody
happens.
steps up, gets hot. I mean, it's like Sanchez is pitching well.
Yeah.
Why would you let him do what he's doing?
Right.
You know, he's giving you quality starts that then gives us a chance to win a ball game, even though we don't win when he pitch. You know, he gives up one run and we don't win. Yeah. I mean, that's not his fault. You know, we got a hit.
What's it about the Braves organization that year in and year out, they're always up the top of the
player
heat?
development and scouting?
You got it. Those
Right.
two things. That's what it starts with.
Right.
You know, good leadership at the top, good departmental leaders, like he says, scouting, player development, minor league people. You know, I mean, they got a good thing going right now. I mean, you know, sort of, you know, them and the Dodgers.
You know who was my manager in 1986 in Sumter, South Carolina, my first year in pro baseball? Brian Snicker.
Oh, Brian Snicker, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah,
I mean, they've been known as the organization. They've had a bunch of coaches that's been there for they're lifers. I mean, they're good at what they do.
He's a Bobby Cox clone is what he is.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, he
He
is.
spent so many years around Bobby Cox.
I'll tell you what, he's a good man. And,
Yes, he is.
And he's and good with his players and how to
Very
how to play the game.
calm demeanor. Yeah.
Ex-catcher.
Yeah.
You know, he
And-
understands it.
And he doesn't depend all the time on analytics. He'll look at analytics, but he won't go
Yeah.
overboard.
No.
That's what I like about the guy.
And that's what's so amazing about the Braves. Look at, I mean, what they've done. I mean, they're pounding the baseball, doing things, but the pitching.
Yeah.
It just keeps. Everybody keeps coming. I mean, they do a good job. They just do a good job, find a way to keep them team, and their team, the way it's built now, they score runs and they
Young
and they're
offensive players too.
I never thought I'd see an Atlanta Braves ball team hit the most home runs in baseball.
Homemade, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Homemade guys.
They got some guys that are banging the baseball.
And the one thing you mentioned about player development, if they lose a starting pitcher, they reach down the minor league and they bring another guy
Plug
up.
in somebody else.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of organizations are envious
Right.
of that, because they tend to find ways to make it work. I know back in the day, Bobby and them, they weren't afraid to bring a guy from AA up.
Yep.
They were not. They
believed in their system.
Yeah, they believed that if he was they would do it. If they believed if he was ready, he wouldn't have. Oh, he's got to go to AAA. He's got to. Nah.
I mean, what are they? 22 out of 25 they won. That's pretty incredible.
It's unbelievable.
All right, we got to wrap this show up right now. Joe Kerrigan,
Thank
I
you very
certainly
much.
appreciate you being our special guest today. The former
Thank you,
Temple
gentlemen.
star. Thank you. Tommy
Thank you,
Greene.
sir. Thank you,
Thomas.
Let me tell
Thank
you
you.
something. The man comes out of the hospital bed. Not many guys do that. Tommy Greene. Got to thank our support staff, led by our great executive producer, Chris Hermer, and back at the station, Stephen Lawler. Until next week on the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, I'm Bill Werndl. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You've been listening to the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB.